Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Chila Prabhupada. Jai. Jaya Vishnupad. Paramahamsa Bhagavakracharya Association Simad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavakracharya Association Simad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavranda Ki Jai. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Hivi Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Brihat Midanga Ki Jai, Sama Beda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All those assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, all those assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, all those assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, all those CC, Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Canto 5, chapter 12. It's a conversation between Maharaj Raghudana and Yada Bharat. Text number 2. It's a long Sanskrit. Javama tasya jagat naham sat. Nigada dadasya yata himbama abba. Kuheda mahani vidasta driste. Brahman vachaste mritam ausamhate. Javamanyadasya jagadamam sat. Nigadadakasya yatha himamba Kudeha mahani videdastriste Brahman vachaste mitam ausahame Yavaramatasya jagatamam sad Nigadadakasya yatha himamba Kudeha mahani vidasadriste Brahman vachaste mritam ausahame Javamananyasya jagadamam sat Nigadadakasya yatha himamba Kudeha mandani vidastadriste Brahman vachamni mitam aushamamhe. Ladies? Charamadadasta yagadanam sat Nigadadakasya yatha himamba Kudeha mandani vidastadriste Brahman chasate ausanatme Ramadaniyasya jagadamam sat Nigadadakasya yatha himamba Kudeha mahani vidastadriste Rama vichaste mitam aushahame. Word for word, jvara of a fever, amaya by the disease, atasya of a distressed person, yatha just as, agdam the medicine, sat right, nigadadagasya of one scorched by the heat of the sun, yatha just as, hima amba very cold water, kudeha in this body made of matter and full of dirty things such as stool and urine. Mana of pride, adi by the serpent, vidasa bitten, triste of one whose vision, Brahman, O best of the Brahmanas, vacha words, te your, amritam nectar, ausham medicine, me for me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. C.C. Jagannath Baladev Subramani ki jai. C.C. Gaunitai ki jai. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, my body is filled with dirty things, and my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. Due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. Purport. The conditioned soul has a body full of dirty things, bones, blood, urine, stool, and so forth. Nonetheless, the most intelligent men in this material world think there are these combinations of blood, bone, urine, and stool. If this is so, why can't other intelligent men be made with these ingredients which are so readily available? The entire world is going on under the bodily conception and creating a hellish condition unfit for any gentleman's living. The instructions given to King Raghugana by Yada Bharat are very valuable. They are like the medicines that can save one from a snake bite. The Vedic instructions are like nectar and cool water for one suffering from scorching heat. Om Jnana Timidandasya Jananjana Salakaya Shakshu Unminitam Jena Tasmai Si Guruve Namah. So, new chapter. The recap is King Bharat, a very exalted king. Still, we call this Bharat Vasha because he was such a magnificent king. And he gave up everything in the system of Varnashram Dharma. There are 4 ashrams and 4 varnas. So the first ashram of there's 3 tribes born out of the 4 castes, the classes of men, the Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, and the Brahmanas. They're twice born. That means they have 4 ashrams. The Shudras have only 1 ashram, the Grihastha ashram, but then consequently, the next ashrams, the Vaishya is first brahmachari, and then he is Grihastha, and then the king, he has also added the Vanaprastha ashram at the end because of his extreme entanglement in material affairs. In order to prepare himself easily for leaving the body, at the end he's doing Vanaprastha. So King Bharat was a perfect example. He went to the bank of the Gandaki river, and he made himself a peaceful ashram. He meditated. He completely detached himself from this world. And then there was a small incident. A doe was crossing the river and jumped, and a small baby deer fall out, and he seen that, and out of normal compassion he picked up the deer, and then he got extremely attached to the deer. Consequently, in Bhagavad Gita it says, when you leave your body at the time of death, whatever is your consciousness, this will attain your next body. So he got the body of the deer, but he got a blessing. He could remember his past life. So at the end, he went back to his ashram in the form of the deer, and he gave up his body consciously as the deer and got reborn as Jada Bharat. In a Brahmin family, he was well taken care of by his father, who wanted to train him, but he was very fearsome of his previous 2 encounters with the material energy, and he decided to just play deaf and dumb. And in this process, he was abused and whatever, and then he ended up carrying the palanquin of the king, and he didn't do that well, and the king chastised him, and then somehow or another he revealed Vedic knowledge to the king, and this conversation is going on, and it is here where the king himself is realizing, I'm a very proud person, and your instructions are very valuable. So this is the second sloka in that, and it speaks here about, I first didn't understand, Srila Prabhupada said something, I couldn't get that. If that is so, why can't other intelligent men be made with those ingredients which are already available? So it is, he's a little bit picking on the scientist who's saying, and today they can do a lot, isn't it? Man, that small phone, it's like ready available for everyone, and you just press some buttons, and the whole Bhagavatam will be available, and other explanations will be available. So many things in one small machine. They can do so many things, but here Srila Prabhupada said, if only this simple ingredients makes a man, why not other men can be created? So it's first I was surprised, what does he actually mean? So it is that you're living in a very beautiful place. So when you look out of this window, and it seems to be a posh neighborhood also, big houses, big cars. It's almost impossible to park your car here if you're an outsider. Everywhere you need some type of a card where you don't know where that will be available. So people have a very good life. They made it, but ultimately they're made from those bodies. And here's a king, which was a very big king, and nobody has enough money to be carried to work in a palanquin. So he was carried in a palanquin in days where other people were living in simple mud housings. So, and he realizes this is not good. And I'm staying in Vrindavan, and we very happily live our lives there. We also suffer like everyone is suffering, but we feel very much connected with Krishna. And then when we come here, it speaks about the scorching heat where people get relief. So we have those very few temples, how you say that, it's like oasis in the desert. The people outside may be thinking, we are crazy. Srila Prabhupada had that little pamphlet, like, who is crazy? So we're sitting here and saying they are crazy, whereas they're thinking we are crazy. But in reality, these people are totally disconnected. It's a total society of disconnection. This lives are recently, the very reason I'm here a little early, my father's wife passed away, and we went for some funeral ceremony, and I also said some words, but it was rather hopeless. We normally say that this is like the funeral renunciation. Everyone has that, because what is that? When the Pandavas were in the exile in the forest, they were thirsty, and first Bhima went, and they came to that lake, and Yamaraj was hiding in the tree in the form of a yaksha, and he said, you first have to answer the questions. And it went on. 4 brothers went and were proud and didn't answer the question and fall dead on the spot. Finally, Yudhisthira came, and the yaksha asked the question, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? And he gives the right answer. He said, everyone sees other people, including their relative, dying, and everyone thinks deep in himself that this will not happen to me. And that is the situation. That is the very situation. All these people are living, they're having nice houses, and they're thinking they're made from those material elements, and they're thinking they're very intelligent, they can produce smartphones and so many things, and life will go on forever. And then they have the concept, anyhow, when I die, there will be nothing. So what is the point of living then? I mean, the first intelligent question, when somebody is gaining a little bit of intelligence, the first question is to become a human being is why I'm here and why I'm suffering. One Prabhu, 2 Prabhus a little older, some a little younger. When you're young, you never think that. When you get older and slowly the joints start paining, some problems will become. You realize this body isn't actually such a good deal. When we were young, when we joined, we hear birth, death, old age and disease. It didn't seem to be such a great deal. And then when I look at my father, or then people are dying, it is a great deal. When we're getting older, this body is not performing. And so here he's realizing that. That is the first step. That it's the first step, that we're realizing that I'm made of those ingredients, and it is not such a wonderful thing. And one thing, it is a wonderful thing, because Prabhupada says here, so if it is such a simple thing, why we don't create such a thing? So the scientist can maybe create supercomputers and Starlinks and whatnot all, and electric vehicles, whatnot all. But they can't produce one fly, or what to speak, they cannot even, one amoeba, they cannot, one cell, one small bacteria they cannot create. How much they're trying, and they may be even able by these days to manipulate the genes in living entities. When this COVID thing was going on, they made a vaccine which makes your own blood cells to produce spike protein from the virus. So they're doing a lot of things. They're going into minor details. They're manipulating the material energy, but they can't produce life. And Srila Prabhupada turned it very simple. Life comes from life. You can't create a living entity, however small or minor it be, however intelligent you might be. You may manipulate life which is already existing, but you can't. And he's saying that here also. So the king is getting Vedic instruction, and it says here at the end of the purport, the Vedic instructions are like nectar and cool water for the suffering from scorching heat. So this is what everyone is here in the Western world. It looks so beautiful. Yesterday I was in the farm in Czech, and we visiting Neil Madhava's house, and he had a beautiful little house, brand new, with a nice veranda, and there were green trees, and the spring is going on, all flowers and nice green trees. It looked so nice. But the next morning it was rainy and cold, so it wasn't so nice anymore. So we're getting enthused by this material nature, and we're thinking it is a comfortable place. Everyone is trying to make their little corner, somehow or another, to create a little space, the comfort zone where we're staying in. But we are going to get thrown out from this. How much we're trying, how much comfort we can create, and how much so-called security we can create, we are going to kicked out from that. And it starts with that original misconception that I'm this body. And it's very strong. We were on Padayatra, long back I was on Padayatra, India, and I always remember that. It was somewhere in Andhra Pradesh. Sometimes when we go from down the highway from one village to another village, there is nothing in between. So when you come again, so we stayed at some, just a school was there and some highway hotel, nothing much. And there was a big group of pigs was there. This, I think, boars, you call them, not pigs actually. They're wild pigs. They look like wild pigs. They're brown color with bristles. So nothing special. Every highway hotel usually have pigs in those days. But one pig must have come under the truck or under the car, so his back was broken. So he was dragging along on two legs. It's a very miserable scene. All the other pigs are jumping and running and having fun with each other, and this fellow had to always drag behind, most probably gets the leftover of the leftover. So we left from there, and we walked one round around India. It took us about little more than 3 years, and we're coming back to the same road. And again, we had to stay in this place because there was nothing in between. And see, that same pig was still dragging himself around. So why he would do that? Such a miserable condition. You would say at some point the pig will wake up in the morning and say, that's it, I'm not dragging myself. But because he is so much in that consciousness, and if he sees that situation, inside is the soul, Satchit at Ananda. It is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. The soul is inside. And what makes it? It is this ahankara, that first layer which covers the soul, which makes it thinking I'm this body. And so the same thing is counting for us. You see people are in the hospital, they're on all sorts of machines, they're on pain, they're suffering like anything. And they could just say, okay, enough, that's it. I give up. But no, they're ready to spend any amount of money and any amount of suffering and pain to keep this body a little bit running. Whereas we could just open the Vedic literature, and the first instruction is, you are not this body. And in the Bhagavad Gita we learn the little bit knowledge of this Vedic wisdom frees you from the worst type of fear. And what is that? The fear of death. Because we're knowing that we will be living on. So the process is simple. Srila Prabhupada is there, and he's given us the process, and here King Raghugana is getting instructed by Yada Bharat, which is very odd because a little bit before he was his palanquin carrier, not only his foolish palanquin carrier, because he wasn't keeping up with the tact, in order to carry the palanquin and to have it very leveled, all have to step at the same time, and he wasn't following that, and he got chastised, and then it turns out that he's giving him the instruction. It's an odd situation, but he is realized, because he was a king, he did do the tapasya, and then he became a deer. He could remember that. He gave up his body consciousness of the deer. And now he's reborn as Jada Bharat. And his only consciousness in this body is that not making the mistake. Do not get entangled in this world. Just play foolish. Just make sure nothing will happen. You not get proud. You not get puffed up. And you not hang up in anything. And leave this body and go back to the spiritual work, to the kingdom of God. So we also suffering the same situation, and even as devotees we have to be very careful. There was that incident where Srila Prabhupada little bit chastised Tamal Krishna Goswami. He said this huge material world is full of universes, so many universes are there, and we are in one of those universes, of those many, and in this universe there are so many planets, and amongst so many planets, we are on one planet, and there's so many continents on this planet, so we are in one of those continents, and in this continent there's so many states, so among so many states we are in one state and country, and in this country are so many states, we are in one state, and in that state there's so many towns, we are in one town, and in that town we are in one area, and amongst so many areas, in that area so many roads, we are in one road, and there's so many houses, we are in one house, there's so many rooms, we're in this one room, and we're thinking we're very important. That is the material nature is creating this ahankara, that I'm this body, and then comes the next layers are coming, and we're just thinking I'm important. Every one of us, I can maybe speak for myself, everyone thinks somehow or another we are special. That is inbuilt, that I'm special, I have a special upbringing, I'm more intelligent, or everyone has the expertise, I'm good in this, I'm good in that, and somehow or another we're thinking we are special. But if you see the size of the material energy, and that is only the material energy, it is vast, and we're so insignificant. And back to that point, when somebody dies, particularly in India, in Vrindavan, we're seeing many people dying. People come there to die, and then you go to the, it's here it is all little covered, but there you go to down to the Yamuna, and they put this wooden pile, and then we put the body on top, and some small ritual, and the fire is lit, and in front of your eyes you see this body is turning into ashes. First still, sometimes the arm or the leg goes up or this or that, and then it just turns in front, and then next couple of hours later or next morning you collect a little bit of the ashes and you throw it in there. So you can see, and then I know even some prominent Prabhupada disciples passed away in Vrindavan, and 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we even have samadhis of them, and first year is a big festival, everyone is a big ceremony of remembrance, and then 10 years after, you have to, I'm living in the Goshala, so I made many of the samadhis, and you ring somebody, hey, we're not going to have that, oh, yes, and somehow another last minute, one box of Mahaprasadam. So everyone is getting forgotten. We're all getting forgotten. Our situation is that we're insignificant. And here we say even such a prominent king, King Bharat, who is still remembered until today, and he's coming back as Yada Bharat, as such an insignificant person. So we all have to take care, because humility is the ultimate quality of the devotee, because if we're respecting everyone and everything, then we stay free from the chance of committing any offenses. The only thing which can stop or block devotion or hamper devotional service, at least temporary or for a longer stretch, is that we are committing offenses to other Vaishnavas or living entities in general even. Okay, Hare Krishna. we'll stop there. Be very happy if there's any questions or any comments.
Point of I'm not this body, maybe you can share some symptoms, how we can see that we are slowly diminishing this bodily consciousness.
Okay. Okay. I'm lucky. When I was small, I was remembering my last life. Now I cannot remember that. I only can remember that I remembered. So it was very weird. I never told that to anyone, but I didn't want to appear crazy. So I had some remembrance, and many people have that. So now what you are asking for is you have to feel yourself as soul. I asked one sannyasi in South India, Bhaktivinoda Swami. There's two things. He described it that in the beginning of devotional service, we very much get pushed by the material energy. And he described it like the ocean. The waves are coming and you get pushed around. And he said, when you a little bit go above the modes of material nature, it's like you dive in the ocean, full quiet. You not get shaken around anymore. It's one description. And I did this Kumbh Mela recently, and after the Kumbh Mela, I think I felt a little more enlightened than usually. I would see that you see yourself separate. It's not that you're moving, it's that you see your body moving. Is that an explanation? I can only speak from my own experience. If I'm doing really good, then I'm thinking, I'm not thinking this is me, I'm thinking this is my body. That has to change over. We're not this body. On a higher scale is that you actually find out who you are. That's maybe it's getting a bit too far out, but we all want to see Krishna face to face, but you can't see Krishna without knowing who you are. It's not like a movie. You turn on the computer and the movie is playing and you see actors. So that is maybe what we're expecting. But first you have to find yourself, and when you know who you are, then out of those eyes maybe you can see the Lord. I'm not sure. I think the first answer is better, that you can actually feel that you're not this body. You see, you conceive yourself separate. I don't know how you see that. He's a brahmachari, advanced devotee. I can see. I can feel that. I can feel that sometimes, and it feels good, because then you're not very proud of the body, because you see it as you see that the soul is holding all this material energy together. It's just a machine. You see yourself as a machine. You don't identify yourself. You see that you're a machine, and you see other people also as souls, which are surrounded by those forms and machines. And then actually you can feel more compassion, because you see what I said earlier, they're very disconnected. When you live in Vrindavan, it appears it's the same Maya as here. People are doing all sorts of things, but you always feel that connection with Krishna. Whereas here, when you see the people, even it is so much more beautiful, and it is so much more organized. And Switzerland is like meticulous, clean and organized. The roads, everything is really nice. And I think people are really rich here also. Even in Germany, you see a lot of poor areas. I haven't seen that here. So it looks all very nice, but it's a total disconnection from Krishna or from God. I don't think they're even Christians anymore. I won't judge Christian religion in itself, but they would have at least as Christians some connections. But now these people are totally disconnected. So It's just that it is a meaningless life. However opulent it is, it's totally meaningless because they die and take up another body and another body. We say nitya bada. It's a real nitya bada program. Okay, does that answer? Yes, bro.
Just thank you for your answer. I think what you said just reminded me of Bhagavad Gita 5, text 8, 9. It says, the person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with the objects, and that he is aloof from them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you described.
Yeah.
You realize that you more identify as an observer,
Yeah.
and not so much identifying with the body or with what's happening.
Yeah.
It could be simple of
Yeah.
realizing, going close to that.
Yeah, and the insignificant of that. Just the material moods. All right. One more.
Yeah, please. So now the question of the mind. And I asked this question sometime before one devotee. In Bhagavad Gita we find two verses. One verse says, like the river which flows into the ocean, one who is kind of self-realized, the desires, they don't disturb him. And then there is also a verse where it says, if somebody externally renounces but internally dwells on the sense objects, then he's called a nityachara.
Okay.
And how do we... Also there is another part in Bhagavad Gita where it says how someone is self-realized, sometimes you will see I'm in illusion, sometimes I'm in passion, sometimes I'm in goodness, but I know it's just happening around me. So how to deal with the mind? Because the mind has a certain quality. Each individual has a certain quality of mind, and obviously, based on what Krishna says, we need to somehow work with the mind in a way that's not pretending.
Okay, that's a lot of question in one. Very long back, I asked some type of a question, like similar to that, to my spiritual master, and he said, "How, Sanak Sanathan, you're having a very strong mind." And I seen that as an encouragement. I was thinking he's praising me. Because when Sanak Sanathan puts something in his mind, he gets it done. And I was what you call a go-getter. I was thinking, yeah, now 20 years later or 25 years later, it wasn't meant as a praise at all. So yeah, there's many questions in one. In Pune, they used to have that drama, and basically it was like the soul and its mind. And first they were fighting, and finally they was together sitting on the bench and chanting Hare Krishna. So that was like the perfection when the mind is cooperating with the devotional service. We have to engage the mind, right? We have not to break the mind. So you mentioned that already. So we're supposed to engage the mind. Jai Sisi Jagannath Baladev Subhatramani ki jai, Sudarshan Chakra ki Sisi Goni Tai ki jai. You can't go around the mind. In the beginning stages of devotional service, you have to somehow or another try to cooperate with the mind, engage the mind. This morning while chanting japa, I was thinking, same like I'm chanting the Gayatri, maybe I should chant 100 times this morning, beat the mind with the broom. And in the evening, Bhaktisiddhanta said, beat beat the mind with a shoe. I was wondering which shoe to envision and which broom to envision. I just this morning it came in my mind. So it seems controversial, because one time you say you have to beat the mind, and on the other way it says you have to engage the mind in devotional service. It's a very fine line, because you have to work with your mind, and then you say, what is that about pretending? The desires are the actual. It appears that the deeds we are doing are the problem, which again creates sinful. We do sinful things, and this creates again bad karma for the next life. But we have to not forget the desires we're having, how difficult, how dangerous they are. It just hit me yesterday very strongly. I was in Delhi at the airport, and I came a little early. I always keep some extra time, so I was a little early. I was hanging around. Maybe I was a little late to eat my breakfast, and I was thinking only when I'm in the plane, in the air, I will eat, so I give myself. So I was hungry a little bit in the airport, and there was this, I think Subway it was called, it was showing some big, like a sandwich. And I tried my best, but somewhere my mind got attracted to that sandwich. So I left that space, but I had a desire for that sandwich. And I totally, it was a couple of fractions of seconds. I left from there, I walked ahead, and that was it. So yesterday, Loka Saranga is my friend. I was staying in his house, and he's helping in some restaurants in Beneso, in that next little town. And he's cooking there, and his wife, and he said, hey, just come there and take breakfast, and then you go from there. So I went there. And when I came in, I went back in the kitchen, and he was just offering one exactly like that looking sandwich. It was just there in front of me, and immediately I thought, okay, now I'm going to eat that, Krishna. But you see, it caught me very strong. We have to be very careful with the desires. The mind you're having now is due to your past, previous, who knows how many lives desires, and it is in a particular, you have to deal with that. But we have to be very careful that we at least, we maybe cannot fully keep our mind and our passionate body under control, but we have to be very careful that we're not creating further desires, because our next body is created by the desires which we're creating in this lifetime. I remember asking my spiritual master one time, can we really change ourselves? I think that's usually the heart of that question. And he said, no, it might take a very long time. Meaning, maybe even I felt like he even very long time means even up into the next birth. So you can change yourself. I mean, I'm doing that for 35 years, and I'm the same rascal in a way. Maybe I've subdued some, and I'm getting older, but basically the outline is the same. So it is not that your desires, and we shouldn't pretend. I don't know what we mean by that. That means we don't wear tilak on dhoti, we come in a pant and looking like a punk again. No, that's not what is meant. Pretending means particularly don't put on saffron if you're not a brahmachari. In beginning we all get thrown into saffron, and we're all thinking we're going to do the swami, and then that doesn't work out, then we get married. And so pretend, it's a very complicated thing, we all are pretenders to some degree, right? I shouldn't be sitting here, right? Technically, to sit on the Vyasasan, you have to be a pure sadhu in a real sense. So in the moment we sit on the Vyasasan, we're only doing that, we're trying to say something meaningful. So you have to somehow or another just stick around. The other day that question was there about getting inheritance. So what you as a son of a rich person, what he has to do in order to get rich? He just has to stay alive. eventually the father will die and he will inherit it. So this, for devotional service, the same thing is you just stick around, right? Maybe you pretend a little bit, but you just stick around. Hare Krishna. All right. Is that okay as an answer? I don't know. It's complicated. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah, you were mentioning the disconnection and how we are very disconnected. Maybe we don't even feel like if we're not living in Vrindavan, for example, we are feeling like, yeah, it's pretty good. We are in a miserable condition, but we think we are doing okay. And maybe you can elaborate on that, how disconnected we actually are.
Well, I said this is an oasis, right? This is what is an embassy? An embassy, isn't it? It is the same. So Prabhupada says the temple is as good as Vrindavan. So you are connected. It was more about the outside people. Yeah, okay. I mean, very difficult to put the Vrindavan experience in words. If you're there for a very long time, I joined there in 89. I was there only a couple of months, and I went on Padayatra, and I came back, I think, in 2005, so almost 20 years now. And life goes on, same like you're living your life. You wake up, you do your thing. I have a wife, I have 3 kids, so it's not I'm a Goswami or something, but even if you're in Maya and Vrindavan, you don't forget, it's very hard to describe, you don't forget Krishna. It's always there. It's always there. And if you go away from there, if I go from there to Delhi, maybe I'm even in, I would almost say maybe my consciousness is not that sharp when I'm in Vrindavan, but when I come out from there and I'm going to Delhi, this looks like hell personified. Even it looks sane. Vrindavan looks like India and Delhi looks like India. It's not like it's in its outline looks very different, but you feel just so different because the people. So, and everyone in Vrindavan is somewhat connected to Krishna, and that's basically the whole process of Krishna consciousness, religion or yoga. It's to reconnect, isn't it? So, I think in the temple, I'm always feeling a little sad because in the early days, these temples were full of devotees. Now it's very few of us. So I always feel a little sadness, but we are very connected when we're here, and all of you are fully engaged in service. And I always feel a little bit like how you call that, a deserter in English? Deserter, isn't it? When you run away from the army, it's a deserter, isn't it? It's punishable, isn't it? Yeah, so I just run away to paradise, and I'm enjoying there. Even I'm supposed to maybe be there. So being on the forefront, I think, keeps you very much on your toes, and I think it's a good thing to do. It's sometimes I always wonder what a strange karma, to be a devotee and to be in this terrible place. So why we are born here, or how this all happened, or does that answer your question? I'm not sure what you're looking for.
Yeah, just to make it more clear that we are in this miserable condition, how to reconnect.
Well, you're connected, right? They're right there, right? And you're doing the morning program. Well, okay. If you want to go from the Shastric point, first there are different stages of devotional service. First you come in contact, and the first real step, I would say, is anatta nivritti. This is very much connected to his question. Then the mind is kind of sitting next to you on the bench, and together you chant Hare Krishna with your mind. So once this anatta nivritti, the tendency to commit offenses and sins, and the constant push of the mind to do things which are not favorable for that will come to an end, and then you're basically supposed to think of some devotee which you favor in Krishna Lila, and you think, I don't want to cross the line because it's Raga Nuga Bhak, this is all sometimes a bad word, but then you have to start favoring somebody, and you should think yourself how that would be. Is that okay? You may be much more shastrical than me. I think that's the idea. It means on a lower level, I would say like that. When you're new in devotional service, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you actually want to sleep. But because you're in the temple or due to social pressure or whatever, somehow or another you go to Mangalati because you feel like you have to go to Mangalati. So after some years, waking up first of all becomes easier, but then you want to go to Mangalati because you want to see the deities. It's the same, you're doing the same thing, but it's not out of sadhana because you know it is good and because you want to get purified. You're doing the same thing because it really gives you a taste. Ultimately, we have to have a taste. If we don't have a taste, we will not survive on a long run. Then if you not feel taste in Krishna consciousness, then eventually, if Maya shows us a right sandwich or something, then done. All right, I hope the time is up. Jai Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Surik Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.